So I want to go over a few things with you about your vocabulary, Unit 1 for the giver. First thing I want to remind you is that if you did sentences for the last vocabulary unit, I went in and I made comments. I made comments about formatting. I made comments about hints. I made a number of useful comments. And my hope is that you can pause this now if you need to. Go back, open up that document and read my comments. Click the check marks. If you remember in documents, well, you know what? Here, I'll show you. Sorry, the internet is a bit slow right now. Okay, so let's say I was in your paper and it's still loading. I have a couple of options. I can use suggesting. And if I use suggesting, let's say I want you to get rid of outgoing. Ignore my dog. So what you'll see here, you'll just see this weird box and I'll say delete outgoing. Don't worry about what it says here. What you want to do is kind of look at what the green line shows, and then if you want to accept it, you click the check mark and it will make the change. Now, I don't actually want to delete that, but you'll see that in many of your documents, I've done that to show you, I just moved things for you. And if you click the check marks, it'll show you what you need to do. So anyway, so hopefully that's the first thing you did. So now you're ready to work on your sentences. Now you've already selected your words from your situations chart. And don't forget, in the situations chart, we have situations in which the word would apply. It doesn't mean you have to use these situations, but I think they'll be very helpful. Additionally, you could go in and brainstorm your own situations, put them right in the box if that's helpful to you. But you also have your definitions here, pretty easy definitions. Okay. You know the document. I apologize. My internet is horrible right now because of the storm. Okay, so what we want you to do when you're typing these things in, you want to put your cursor right inside the period. You want to keep the period there. But if you backspace, I want to go into editing. There we go. If you backspace, and let's say your first word is, I'm going to use words from the last unit. Let's say it's concur. So now that I've typed it that way, do you see it bolds it for me? And then I'm going to put my cursor in front of the period again. And here you need the part of speech abbreviation. So it's a verb, so I just put a V. And then I delete definition, and then I can type in my definition. Down here where it says sentence, same thing. You just backspace until you get it lined up, and then you can type your sentence. Okay, now notice how this is not aligned. So I hit enter and then tab. For whatever reason, it needs that signal of enter before it wants to move it over. So enter, tab. Now it's moved. Now I need to underline my vocabulary word, and then I need to make my hint a different color. Let's say purple. We concur when it comes to many issues, but today we disagree on the presidential candidate's fitness to be president. Now, the disagree, right, is the contrast that would help my little sixth grader figure out what the word means based on my context. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color of that. Now, what I want you to also notice is that here I have a compound sentence. You are required to make compound sentences, so you have to have two clauses. That means you have to have a subject and a predicate, a method of combining, and another subject and predicate. So we is my subject. Concur when it comes to many issues is my predicate, concur being my verb or my simple predicate. We over here is my subject, disagree is my verb. Disagree on the presidential candidate's fitness to be president is my predicate. Today is actually part of the predicate as well. Now, you must use a comma and one of the fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. A comma and one of those fanboys to combine the two clauses. Or you may use a semicolon. So every single sentence will have a comma and one of the fanboys or a semicolon. If you're missing that, you do not have a compound sentence. Notice you also want to check, does it have a subject and does it have a predicate on either side of your semicolon or comma plus fanboy. The other thing I want you to realize is that I only set up 5 templates. So you obviously need more. It's really simple to do that. You just copy and paste this, put your cursor after sentence, hit enter, Control V, and it will automatically add it and number it. So those are some things to keep in mind as you format and as you write your sentences. I'm looking for, do you use the word correctly? Do you have a hint? And is it compound? All 3 things need to be present. And again, don't forget to color code your hint. When you're finished writing all of your sentences and you've proofread them, you can turn them in. One more note, some of you used the words as incorrect parts of speech. If it's a verb, you need to make sure you're using it as an action. If it's a noun, you need to make sure you're using it as a thing. If it's an adjective, you need to make sure it's describing a noun. And if it's an adverb, like sympathetically, for instance, you need to make sure it's describing an action. I sighed sympathetically and offered my condolences. All right, I hope all of these tips help.